Good Yom Tov, good Yom Tov. I know what everyone has first and foremost in their mind tonight. I can read your mind. The question is, why isn't Moshiach here yet? That's the question that we're meant to be asking every second. That's what I ask myself every morning and throughout the day. And the Rebbe taught us the example that we have to discard everything that we know and everything we believe as to the ways to bring Moshiach in order to actually bring Moshiach. It's not understandable why Moshiach is not here. So when Yom Tov, we have a beautiful story of a king that had a son who was ill. And the son was ill, and the doctors told him that there was a certain stone in the crown that was necessary to pulverize to create a powder that would then be used for the child. The prince would then be rescued, and it's obviously a very difficult thing for the king to do. We all know the story about how the king had the Mesiras Nefesh to take this stone in order to save his son's life. And it's a very moving story that the father was willing to risk his stone, and the son was revived, and it's a beautiful story. But there's one huge gaping problem with the story. And that is, in that story, there was only one son. So one doctor or one person pouring a little bit of the potion into the son's mouth, even if it mostly fell on the floor, that was enough. But we have a bigger problem. We have 14 million Jews in the world that don't know the first thing about Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So we can't suffice it with a beautiful story that's meant to be a mashal, a simon of what we're actually supposed to do, that we have to reach every single Jew. And if we take it a step further, not only the 14 million Jews in the world, there's 8 billion human beings in the world that Rashi says I also have to say Shema Yisrael. The Chida told the non-Jew in Paris that he wanted to connect to Hashem, and he says, say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu in the morning and the night. So let's think about it for a second. We're very comforted by that story. We think, oh, it's such a beautiful story, and it's so comforting and it's so beautiful, but it's way off the mark. Because we're 14 million behind schedule among the Jewish people, we're 8 billion behind schedule among the non-Jews. So if we actually take a true cheshbon and nefesh and see the state of Shlichus today, we see that, since we're talking to Shluchim, we see that the state of Shlichus is, while it's admirable that there's 5,500 Shluchim, it's only a tiny fraction of what's actually necessary to reach the world. In fact, if you take the number of Jews and you divide it by 200, and you were going to have one Shliach couple for every 200 Jews, you would need 12 times as many Shluchim as you have today. And if you were going to say the ratio of Shluchim to Jews should be 1 to 50, you need 51 times as many Shluchim as today. So with all due respect to those that make achloktas that in the next year they're going to sell out an extra 150 Shluchim, we're way, way off the mark. This is not exactly going where the Rebbe wants it to go. So therefore we have to take stock and realize we have to completely change the game. We have to completely reinvent Shlichus in such a way that there will be enough Shluchim to be able to reach every single Jew and every single non-Jew. How is that possible? So we look in Atat Tetzaveh and we see that the Rebbe says that the job of our generation is to be the Raya Mehemna. That is to be the ones that are the shepherds of faith, the Zan and the Farnes, the Emunah of Bnei Yisrael, and by extension the entire world. Our job is to make sure that every person is connected to the Eibishter. The Halakha Ruzhaner says that the moments before Mashiach is going to come, there's going to be a thin string of Emunah stretched across the entire world. And every person is going to be hanging onto that thread going across the world, and the thread is going to start to shake violently. And it's going to be everyone's going to be doing their utmost to stay attached to that string. That's why the Atat Tetzaveh, the mimer from the Rebbe, is talking about our job is the Zan and the Farnes, the Emunah of every single person. We are the feet of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Yishpastush of the Moshe Rabbeinu, that is not only B'chol Dor but in B'chol Echad V'Yachas. The Yishpastush of the Moshe is each one of us. Our job is to be Zan and Farnes, the Emunah of every single person. So therefore, if we look and see the state of affairs, we see that it's not happening. Pashat, it's not happening. 14 million Yidden are unserved. 8 billion non-Jews are unserved by Shlichus today. With all due respect to all the Shluchim that are Mesiras Nefesh, but it's not only just the tip of the iceberg, it's just a little bit of moisture on the top of the iceberg. So therefore, what we need to do is we need to completely completely reinvent Shliach.
We need to come out with a completely new model for Shliach. The Rebbe already told us what the model is. The concept of Shliach is the Rebbe already defined. And the definition is that every year in the generation is a Shliach, the Nasi Yadayim. Every non-Jew is a Shliach, the word, therefore it's necessary to start a completely new program of Shliach. It's called Shliach 2.0. What we've done until now is Shliach 1.0. That's the old model. Everyone's going to try to compete for space, and compete for donors, and compete for buildings, and compete for teachers, and compete for schools, and so forth. That clearly does not serve the needs of the Jewish people. It does not bring Moshiach. What's necessary is Shliach 2.0, where every single Jew takes seriously that he is a Shliach of the Rebbe, the Nasi Yador. And then when he takes seriously the Shliach of the Nasi Yador, he will then go out and teach everyone the non-Jews. It says in Zechariah, the Navi says in Shemona 8:23, that in those days the nations, the Goyim, the non-Jews are going to come and take the tzitzis of a yid, 410 from the nations for each of the four corners. The portions say that's 2,800 non-Jews every year. And that is our job. That the Rebbe says is going to happen is the moment when Moshiach starts coming. That we're calling Zechariah 8:23. The job of each one of us is to have 2,800 non-Jews attached to us, grabbing our tzitzis and saying, "Show us the way to serve Hashem." It's already happening now.
Using the blood
So anyone who would like to have more information, we went live today with RabbiSmith.org. We have
over there.
starting up. You can sign up to be a Shliach 2.0, Raya Mehemna. We're going to train every single Jew to be a Shliach on the Rebbe. And we're going to train every single non-Jew